want to be.
Welcome to another Fast Tech video. Before we start, please go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. In this one, I'm going to be showing you guys how to fix a PS3 CECHG01. In other countries, this PS3 could be a CECHG00. The most important thing to look out for are the first 4 characters. If your PS3 model number starts with a CECHG, this video is going to be helpful for you if you want to do general maintenance or repairs on your PS3. As I go along and disassemble this PS3 down to the motherboard, down to the frame, I'm going to be showing you guys how to replace each part, why it fails, and how to replace it when it fails. You're going to be needing our FastTech Pro Auto Kit or our FastTech Pro Toolkit. One of those 2 toolkits to disassemble your PS3, since this job does require some specialized tools such as a Torx T8H, which you most likely will not find at your local hardware store. You can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount if you need this kit from our website. You can order it at fasttechstore.com. I'll also include links in the description box and in the top comment. We also sell all PS3, PS4, and PS5 parts on our website, so do check us out. Let's get started. So that's our PS3 CECHG01. To check the model number, to make sure this video applies to you, you gotta look at the back of the console. The last 6 characters right here, that's where your model number is. It's a CECHG01. And on PS3 fat consoles, that's where it should be on first gen PS3s, right here at the back of the console. And if yours is a CECHG01, this video applies to you. The first thing I'm going to be showing you guys is the easiest thing to replace, and that's the hard drive. And if you're getting the PS3 cannot start error message with a black screen, you have a defective hard drive, the first thing you want to do is stand the console up. There's a flap right here, which you can remove by sticking your finger in here or using a pry tool from our FastTech Pro Toolkit. You're gonna lift it up like that. It's gonna come right off. There's a Phillips screw that's hiding underneath. It's a blue screw. We're gonna remove this screw, get it out of the way. Now we're gonna lift this piece up. It's like a handle to pull the hard drive out. Then we're gonna move the hard drive to the right, and then we're gonna pull it out like that. And that's the hard drive right there. As you can see, this one's a 40 gig, and these systems were shipped with 40 gigabyte and 60 gigabyte. Some of these were shipped with an 80 gig hard drive. And the first thing you want to do is clean the hard drive to make sure the problem's not caused by dust or debris, because sometimes that can happen. And then replug the hard drive back in. But if that doesn't fix your problem, or if there's ticking noises from the hard drive, you need a new hard drive. And we sell not 40 gigs anymore, because you can't even buy hard drives this size in a 2.5 inch or any form factor. But we do sell 500 gigabyte hard drives, 1 terabyte hard drives, and we also sell SSDs for these systems. So if you want to upgrade your old 40 gigabyte hard drive for something with a bit more space, a bit more speed, check out the links in the description box and top comment, and you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. Now there's some screws holding the hard drive in its enclosure. And if you order the hard drive from us without the enclosure, and we are running out of stock on these, I don't know how long we're going to be having these enclosures in stock. So if you're not able to get one with an enclosure, you can reuse your old enclosure. All you got to do is remove these Phillips screws. So we're gonna remove this hard drive like that. And at this point, if we want to put our new hard drive in, we're gonna put it in and then put the screws in, and we're done. Now, we're gonna open up the console itself, and to do that, there's a sticker here normally that we would have to remove, but this system's already been opened in the past, so that sticker's gone. That sticker used to be the warranty sticker with Sony, but none of these systems have warranty anymore since they are over 10 years old, all of them. So there's no warranty left, but I figured I'd mention that anyways. And so we're gonna remove that sticker if it was present, and then we're gonna pull out this rubber stop. And that stop is gonna be hiding a Torx T8H screw in there. Not a regular T8, but a T8H. And a T8H has a hole in it. As you're gonna notice, your T8H in there has a security bit in the middle that is gonna go in here. So we're gonna need a T8H, and it's included in our FastTech Pro toolkit, the regular toolkit, and the auto kit. Both of them have this piece. So we're gonna remove that screw. And as we're doing that, we can lift up the front side of the case. It's gonna come up. And now this side of the case has come off. Make sure you don't lose the screw right here. Otherwise this thing's not gonna go on properly. I really miss this Spider-Man font. I wish they brought this back. I wish the PlayStation 5 had this font. Good old days. Now we're gonna switch to a Phillips bit on our FastTech Pro auto kit, and we're gonna remove these Phillips screws that hold the case onto the system. Guys, take note that the smaller screw out of all of these long bolts, all of these on the case are long bolts except for one, and that one goes here and it's labeled as S, as in small, in case you didn't figure that out. So we're going to lift the back end of this system. There's one bolt that I left in there, which is fine. And that's the last one. And that's the case. Came right off. So now we're in the system. We have access to everything. This right here is the power supply. This is the disk drive. And this is the network module. The first thing I'm going to show you guys how to replace is the network module. If your PS3 controllers are not connecting to your system anymore and they only connect in safe mode with a USB cable, or your Wi-Fi list is not showing up anymore, you need to replace this card. And there's 2 screws that hold it in, sometimes 4 depending on what model, but for a G01 there's 2. You remove these 2 screws, pull up this cable, lift it up, and there's another cable underneath that we're gonna pull up, and it comes right out. The model number on this is CECHG01, and we sell these on our website, fasttechstore.com. Links in the description box. Next, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to replace the disk drive. Now, if your PS3 is not reading your games or your Blu-ray movies, you need to replace this disk drive. Your PS3 games are also in Blu-ray disc format, so if your movies are not working, your games are most likely not going to be working either. We're going to lift up the disk drive out like this. We're going to remove the ribbon. We can remove it from the motherboard here and remove it from here. No, doesn't matter. We're going to remove the disk drive. To replace the disk drive successfully, we do need to keep our logic board. So if your disk drive wasn't working and you're putting in a new disk drive, you do need to keep your logic board with your system. Otherwise, it's not going to work. There's 5 screws that we have to remove. A Phillips size 0 from our kit would work. Now we're gonna remove these ribbon cables. All of these have clips on them that we can lift up. You can use your finger like I did, or you can use the pry tool in our FastTech Pro toolkit and pull them out like that. Once the cables are removed, there's one more cable, guys. There's one more cable on the side here, this cable. All right, you don't want to break this, it's very sensitive. So what you want to do is lift this up, lift the logic board to the left. Don't put any pressure on this cable. Grab it by the yellow side of the connector, not the off-white part. Grab it by the yellow part with the tips of your fingers, or you can use tweezers, again from our FastTech Pro toolkit, but I like using my fingers for this. Grab it, wiggle and pull, and the logic board is released. Now, at this point, if you want to replace the disk drive, you're gonna put this logic board into the new disk drive. When you disk drive in, install your old logic board into the new disk drive. This step is very, very important. If you don't do this step, you'll most likely get a CE error or nothing at all. The Blu-ray disc isn't even gonna load on your PS3. Same goes for a PS4, the first gen models, at least the ones that had a logic board like this one. This does not apply to CECHG01 or 3000 generation PS3 Slims. The first gen PS3 Slim did have a logic board like this, but the last gen PS3 Slims, the 2500 and the 3000 series, and the PS3 Super Slim did not have a logic board. For those, you can simply swap out the disk drive, no problem. Moving on. Now, to put this back in, we're gonna connect this connector like that. And you wanna take note that the red side is going to be pointing down, the red side of the cable. The red wire is going to be facing downwards. If the logic board was like this, then you can line up the connector, and then once it's lined in, push it. You're going to feel it go in, and this is the first cable that you want to connect. Tilt it and then put your logic board to the right place. Make sure it goes over this plastic tab like this. It goes in the bottom hole here, and there's other plastic piece on the side here that goes through the logic board. Take note of that. Lift up the connector, put the cable in, push down on the connector, push the cable in all the way to the line. It needs to go all the way into the line, and then push it down, in all the way to the line, push down. Push it in all the way to the line, clip, boom. Now we're just gonna reinstall the Phillips screws. And with the last screw in, we're done. Now all we gotta do is reinstall the disk drive into the system. But I'm not gonna be doing that right now because I'm disassembling the system further. And again, I'll mention it one more time. You have to retain this logic board and install it into the new disk drive if you want any of this to work. Moving on. Next thing I'm gonna be showing you guys is how to replace the power supply. Now, if your PS3 is not turning on at all, which means no light at the front, no beep when you press the power button, nothing happens, not even a sound, you most likely need to replace the power supply. In 99% of the cases, it is the power supply. Sometimes that issue could be caused by a motherboard, but in most cases, it is caused by the power supply. Also, certain instances of yellow light of death, where it goes yellow light of death, but wouldn't turn on again after that, and you have to unplug the system. or hit the switch at the back to make it do the yellow light again, and the system won't turn on. It'll just keep doing the yellow light, and you have to unplug it to make it turn on again. In that instance of yellow light of death, not all, it's rare, but in that instance of yellow light of death, you need to replace the power supply. And there's 5 Phillips screws that hold it in. We're gonna switch to a bigger Phillips head. And now the Phillips screws are out. We're gonna unplug this connector here. You could also remove it from the power supply here, like that. Now we're gonna lift up the power supply, move it forward, and there's a clip here. We're gonna press on the clip, pinch it, and pull the connector out, and out it comes. This PS3 here was shipped with an APS 226, and we sell this power supply on our website at fasttechstore.com. Links are going to be in the description box for these. Most of these G01 consoles were shipped with a newer version of this power supply, and that power supply produces less heat, and it is desirable for a lot of people that even have the backwards compatible unit. They'll upgrade the power supply to that model. This is actually from a previous gen PS3, but some of these G01 systems were shipped with these older model power supplies. These do produce more heat than the revision, but we sell both of them on our website. And again, links are going to be in the description box for both, and you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. Now we're going to be removing the motherboard, and there's a few Phillips screws that we're going to have to get out of the way. Please note that the screw in the corner here, that's a long screw, so do not screw that up, no pun intended, when you're putting this back together. This one right here, the last wire, I left it for the end so I can explain what this is. This is the grounding wire, and it goes from the plug to here, and we're gonna remove this. It's also a Phillips, and that's what that screw looks like. Now at this point, we're gonna lift up the system like that, and this piece, and we're gonna lift from the back, and the motherboard and the heatsink are gonna come separated from the case. That's the bottom case. It's a little dusty, but that's expected after, I don't know, 8-9 years of use. Now we're gonna separate the back plate by just lifting it up, and it's gonna come right off. This plate holds the serial number and the on-off switch. And you can also remove this piece, pull down on this clip, push down, and out it comes. That's how you remove the on-off button. And I believe there's also a fuse in here, if I'm not mistaken. And just like this and everything else, we sell these on our website, fasttechstore.com, or check the links in the description box. Now we're gonna look at the back, and I'm gonna show you guys how to replace the fan. And yes, to replace the fan, you have to go through everything that I went through. Maybe except removing the back plate, you don't have to remove that. But there's 3 screws that hold it in. Also Phillips. Now that we have the screws out, we're gonna remove the connector by grabbing it from the white part, not the off-white part. Grab it, wiggle and pull, and out it comes. And now the fan has been released. This right here is a Nidec 15 blade fan. Some of these fans are 17 blade, and the previous generation PS3s had a 19 blade fan, which is the most coveted fan out of all of them. And we sell these fans on our website. Again, surprise, surprise, links in the description box and in the top comment. And you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount, as always. Now we're gonna remove these 4 screws that hold the heatsink onto the motherboard. Clamp number 1 and clamp number 2. Now we're gonna get this cable out of the way. It's the disk drive cable. We don't need this right now. Get out of the way. We're gonna lift out this piece here at the bottom, and we're gonna lift up the back plate here. It's gonna come right off. That's the back plate. That's the antenna right there for the Wi-Fi module. If your Wi-Fi module is giving you issues with signals and you've replaced the Wi-Fi module, it could be this antenna. What you want to look out for is make sure that this piece doesn't move. If it does, you can solder it back on, but if you don't know how to do that, I'll show you how to replace it. There's a Phillips screw that we're gonna have to remove. And out it comes. Now we're gonna separate the heatsink from the board. The easiest way to do this, and how I like to do it, is I slot my fingers in the hard drive here, and then I push these 2 USB ports up, and I also push from the other side as well if it takes a lot of effort, because you don't want to flex the board. And out it comes. And that's the motherboard on a CECHG01. It's a model SEM001, and we sell this board on our website, just like with all the other PS3 parts that I've mentioned. And that's not the stock thermal paste, so at some point someone replaced the thermal paste on the system. All right, now I'm going to be showing you guys how to replace the thermal paste, and you're going to need some paper towels and some isopropyl alcohol for this. We sell isopropyl alcohol on our website. Links are going to be in the description box. First thing you want to do is wipe the old thermal paste down. Just wipe it down like that. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the heatsink. Just wipe that crappy old paste up. Wipe it down. Now that we have that wiped up, we're gonna get our isopropyl alcohol. We're gonna spray onto the heatsink, and then we're gonna spray on the CPU and GPU chip. This is actually the internal heat spreader, or the IHS. The actual chips are underneath, and there's paste on those as well. I do not recommend you removing the IHS to replace the paste on the actual chip, which is underneath, as I mentioned earlier, because this is not something that a beginner should do. There are some sensitive components around the chip and under the IHS that you can damage and render your console completely useless, so I do not recommend that for beginners. Maybe I will do a future video on how to do that, but like I said, you shouldn't be doing that if you're a beginner, and I'll only be doing that video if I get 1,000 likes on this video. So please run up the likes if you want to see me do that job. But for most people, just replacing this thermal paste would fix most overheating issues that you have. So as you can see, I've wiped it down. And most of the isopropyl alcohol will evaporate itself. So don't worry about leaving any anywhere. By the time you turn on your system, it's going to be all evaporated. And once you have a shiny finish on the heatsink and on the chips, now we're ready to install new thermal paste. And now I'm going to be applying thermal paste. We recommend Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut, and we sell this on our website. Links in the description box. I'm going to get our thermal paste out of the packaging. It comes with instructions. And fortunately for you guys, since I'm here, we don't need the instruction manual. I am the instruction manual. So the key to applying thermal paste is you don't want to put too much, but you don't want to put too little either. So you want to start with a reasonable amount. Some might even say this is too much, but it's actually not. You need this much because of the surface area of this IHS. So we're gonna go like this. I think we're pretty much, for this, we're gonna be ended up using most of the tube. This is very high quality stuff. And again, links in the description box. This is the best thermal paste that you can buy at a consumer level. So what you want to do after putting on your thermal paste, about the amount I put, is you want to use the spreader that's included and spread it around. You want to have like a nice, not too thin but not too thick layer, just right, and just spread it around like that. Just gonna spread it around and get like an even spread throughout the chip. Make sure you get the edges. And what you want is a result that looks like this. Don't worry about the very small patches. Those will fill in once this is put against the heatsink and tightened up. I'm gonna be showing you guys how to do that. So we're gonna put the motherboard back on the heatsink. This side goes in first, the side with the ports. You put it in, you push down, and make sure that this metal piece that's part of the heatsink assembly goes through here, and there's another one here. These should be going through, otherwise it's not gonna be level and you might get other issues. Now we're gonna install the back plate. These teeth on this side go in through here, and this one goes through here. Pay attention, guys. You don't want to screw this up. Like that. You see how the teeth went through? And now you can like pivot it on. Boom, like that. This piece should go through here, and this should be going through here like that. You guys see that? Boom. Details matter. Now we're gonna lift this piece up and lock it back into place. And now we're gonna reinstall the heatsink clamp screws. Now you want to tighten this not one at a time. You don't want to tighten one and then tighten the other. You want to go slow. So you want to like do this one just a little, and then do this one a little, and then do this one a little, do this one a little, and right, because they're snug right now. They're not tightened all the way, right? I want to do it diagonally. So I'm applying pressure evenly, and the chip is not getting pressure on one side and no pressure on the other side. That could cause flexing or other issues on the motherboard, which is something you don't want. And with the FastTech Pro Auto Kit, you can tighten it manually as well. That way you get a really good feel for how tight it exactly is. You want it to be tight, but not too tight. Like that, like that. And now that I'm satisfied with the tightness, now I'm going to install the back plate back on, like that. Flip it over. Let's install the fan. And install the 3 Phillips screws that look like this back into the fan. Now we're gonna route this cable through here and here and plug the connector in. There's a little nub at the bottom of the connector. As you can see, it only goes one way. So make sure this side is facing down. Plug it in, push it in. Done. Just clean out the case a little bit. Even though the customer's not paying us for this, but I don't want to put it back together that filthy. Now, I'm not gonna cleanse it like I would if I was paid for the cleaning service. Then we would dip it in a special solution to get every little speck of dust out of here. But since I'm not getting paid to do that, this is all the cleaning they'll get for free. And now we're gonna install this back into the case. The front goes in first, like that. All right, and then you're just gonna line the back up like that. And now let's start installing the screws back in. I'm gonna install the grounding screw first. Then the long screw that goes in here. And now I'm going to point out something that is a little bit important. As you can see, there's 2 Phillips screws that have the same head, but one of them is longer and one of them is shorter. The longer ones are for the board, except for here. This one here is a short one. But the rest of these screws, this, are these longer Phillips screws. The small one goes in here, and then the longer ones go here, 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 here. Now we're going to reinstall the power supply. We're going to install the back connector first. Just lines up like that. Click. Seat the power supply. We're going to reattach the cable. Goes in like this. and this side goes in like this. And again, these ones for the power supply are the smaller Phillips screws. Now let's install the disk drive cable back in. Lift up the connector, push it in all the way to the blue line, push the connector down. Let's tuck this power supply cable under here. Now we're gonna install the connector onto the disk drive. Lift up the disk drive's connector, put it all the way in to the blue line. Boom. Now let's connect the disk drive power cable like this. And like this on this side. Now I'm going to attach the antenna back on. Just going to go in like this. Side with a tooth. It's going to go on first. You push the other side down. Put the smaller Phillips screw back in. Now we're going to reinstall the Wi-Fi / network module. We're going to connect this cable. We're going to just line it up on its connector and then push down. Then we're going to reconnect this cable. We're just going to line it up and push it in. We're going to line it up here on this tooth, push it down, make sure all of this lines up. And then we're going to reinstall the screws that hold it in. And there's one long screw that goes here that I had forgotten about. We'll put that one back in. Now we're going to attach the case. The front goes in first. As you can see, it has these teeth at the front. They line up here. All right, that goes on first. Once you got that in, pivot the case back on. Now we're gonna put the screws in for the case. There's one short screw and the rest of them are taller. The short screw goes in here and it says S right here on the corner. It's gonna say S. That's where the small screw goes. Now we're gonna put the rest of them back in. One goes in here, one goes in here, 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 and here. Now we're going to install the hard drive back in the enclosure. Now we're going to stand up PS3, install the hard drive in, lift up the latch, slide it in place, and we're going to install the blue Phillips screw that holds it in. Now we're going to install the case back on. And to do this part, what you want to do is you want to secure the screw in here. Make sure it's in there already. You want to put your case about here, push it down. As you can see, it's flush, and then you can choose to put the warranty sticker on if you had one, or if you want to put it back on for whatever reason you would want to do that. I don't know, on a 12-13-year-old system that doesn't have any warranty. Now I'm going to plug it in to make sure the light stays on. As you can see, the green light is staying on. When I press the eject button, it beeps. I'm gonna stick a disc in there to make sure the disc reader is accepting discs. I know it's a PS4 game, but as long as it accepts and spins the disc, which I know it is, it looks like it is working. And that concludes another video. Please guys, go ahead and smash that like button if this video helped you out. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and click the bell next to the subscribe button. And check out my vlog channel in which I travel the world and I record my adventures. Links for that are going to be in the description box. This is Shiroz from Fast Tech, and I'll see you in the next one.